Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Maloof, and I am an instructional coach in the Office of Language Arts. The focus of our time together today will be to learn a little more about the Intermediate Comprehension Toolkit by Steph Harvey and Ann Gutvis. Through this video, we will explore the lesson frames provided and how they work. We will also talk about 2 of the 6 research-based reading strategies, inferring and visualizing, and determining importance. So come along with me and we will get started. To get started, let's first talk about the generic lesson frames that are a part of the Comprehension Toolkit. Inside of each book of strategies, lesson frames are built out to guide teachers in instruction. What is so great about the lesson frames provided is that they can be used with any text. This frame is a generic guide to each lesson and contains teaching moves and teaching language without reference to specific content. Because of this, we can use these frames with or without these texts. The frames allow for consistent and familiar structures with teaching moves mentioned alongside each portion of the session. The first part of the teaching frame is connect and engage. During this time, you will connect students to the work of the lesson. For example, if your lesson is focused on the strategy of inferring and visualizing, the lesson frame might guide the teacher to first explain what it means to infer and connect students to what they already know about inferencing before launching into modeling for readers how to do this work directly. The second portion of the lesson frame is modeling. During the model portion of the lesson frame, teachers will directly model how to practice the strategy and may or may not direct teachers to use a visual or anchor chart for students to really hold on to the strategy and work as they are modeling. The third part of the lesson frame is guide. After directly modeling how to practice the strategy, teachers will invite students to practice alongside the teacher, working together to try out the strategy that was just modeled. The fourth part of the lesson frame is independent practice. After time spent in guided practice, the teacher will send students off to practice the work independently or in pairs as they use the same strategy they just saw the teacher model and practice in guided time. Finally, the last portion of the lesson frame is share the learning. At the end of the lesson, the teacher invites students to share their learning. This time might allow students to share the process they took while using this strategy that day, or to highlight the success they found while reading using the lesson strategy. These lesson frames pair with the key comprehension strategy one-pagers that our office has adapted from the Comprehension Toolkit assessment checklists. On each one-pager, you will find a range of tools, not only for the teacher, but also for students. Through these one-pagers, you'll be able to quickly identify markers of student achievement and engagement, prompt students with sentence starters and question stems, and also reflect on student practice, utilizing the teacher actions portion of the page. Finally, to support students visually, the anchor charts listed under student actions are hyperlinked for easy reference and printing capabilities. As we talk about 2 specific reading strategies you can support students with, we will also discuss the one-pagers and how they can be used through small group instruction, as well as through independent practice to enrich and accelerate students' learning. So let's talk about the 2 reading strategies you can support students with immediately. First, we will discuss inferring and visualizing. According to Harvey and Gutvis, inferring is the bedrock of understanding. In order for students to infer, they first must take what they know, their background knowledge, and merge it with clues that emerge in the text as they read to come up with ideas and information that are not explicitly stated. Inferring is such an important strategy to lean on as we read because skilled writers typically don't just plop all of the information they want you to know into their text on the page. Instead, they slowly leak information through details, one idea at a time. This allows readers to make reasonable inferences. Harvey and Goodvis state that inferential thinking helps readers to figure out unfamiliar words, draw conclusions, develop interpretations, make predictions, surface themes, and even create mental images. Now, inferring is related to visualization. When readers visualize, they create mental images in their minds to construct meaning. Through these images in their minds, readers see, hear, taste, touch, and smell with their imagination. Inferring and visualization together allows readers to go deeper in their reading and understanding of a text. And more often than not, students respond to text naturally with joy, glee, or sometimes even dread as they practice this strategy. Ultimately, inferring involves using evidence from the text and features to visualize and draw conclusions about the information as they synthesize big ideas. So let's take a look at that one-pager that can be paired with this strategy. When looking at the one-pager, it is important to note that the document is a teacher tool. However, you can easily take the questions listed in the student actions portion, the anchor charts, and the sentence starters to develop tools for your students. These one-pagers are available in English and in Spanish. On the one-pager for inferring and visualizing, you will note that the following student achievement and engagement indicators are available. These indicators will inform you of whether or not students are doing the work independently. This list is the ultimate set of actions you want to see students practicing to show that they are mastering this skill. These actions might look like students using context to infer the meaning of unfamiliar words, merging background knowledge with clues to draw reasonable conclusions, inferring the answers to unanswered questions, inferring big ideas, and using inferential thinking to read critically. And while students are practicing this work, they might ask themselves, did I infer to figure out the meaning of new words? Did I think about what I knew and merge it with information? Did I read between the lines to get the deeper meaning? And did I infer the themes from evidence and clues in the text? Students might also utilize the anchor chart images linked or the sentence starters to clarify their thinking with partners through writing. When using this one-pager to inform the small groups you might pull or conferences you might have with students, it will be important to refer to the teacher action section of each one-pager. Within this section, you will find questions you can ask yourself as you decide next steps for students and what you might teach next. For example, are students using their background knowledge and merging it with clues to draw conclusions? If yes, great. If not just yet, then maybe a small group of students would benefit from a strategy group, helping them to practice merging the two together. The second strategy that we will talk about today that is foundational is the strategy of determining importance. The strategy of determining importance is key to readers working towards reading to learn and deciding what is important to remember as they encounter new texts. Likewise, what we determine important while reading is based on our purpose for reading. The strategy of determining importance is the logical next step after spending time practicing and refining the strategies of inferring and visualizing. Harvey and Gutvis state that once kids know how to merge their thinking with information, it's time to figure out what makes sense to remember. We can't possibly remember every fact or every piece of information we read or hear. We need to focus on important information and merge it with what we already know to expand our understanding of a topic. We sort and sift rich details from important information to arrive at big ideas. So let's take a look at the one-pager that can be paired with this strategy. When looking at the one-pager, remember that it's important to note that this document is a teacher tool. However, you can easily take the questions listed in the student actions, the anchor charts, and the sentence starters to develop tools for your students. On the one-pager for determining importance, you will find indicators that will inform you of whether or not students are doing this work independently. Remember that this list is the ultimate set of actions you want to see students practicing to show you they are mastering this skill. These actions might look like students merging thinking, questions, and responses with the information to better understand it and determine what to remember, sorting and sifting through information to answer questions, distinguishing between important and interesting details, or understanding how details support and develop a larger topic. While students are practicing this work, they might ask themselves, did I remember to write down my facts, questions, and responses? Did I sort the information that was important from the information that was interesting? And did I use the supporting details to get a bigger idea? Students might also utilize the anchor chart images linked for the sentence starters, or clarify their thinking with partners and through writing. When using this one-pager to inform the small groups you might pull or conferences you might have with students, it will be important to refer to the teacher actions section of each one-pager. Within this section, you will find questions you can ask yourself as you decide next steps for students and what you might teach next. For example, are students able to separate interesting details from the bigger, more important information and ideas? If yes, wonderful. If not just yet, then maybe a small group of students would benefit from a strategy group, helping them to practice distinguishing between the two. Thank you for being with me today as we've discussed a few basics of the Intermediate Comprehension Toolkit.